Matt.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I was just about to have a drink of a pint. Yeah, I'm good.
Well, you can have a quick drink.
Thank you.
I do a bit of talking there. Enjoy that. So, where are we today? We're in Cookfellas in Guisborough, which for me is my favourite restaurant in Guisborough, probably in Redcar and Cleveland, to be honest. And I'm sat opposite Helen Leonard, who has become another welcoming partner to the Everyman Can Mental Strength podcast, and letting us sit in this fantastic little booth in the front of the restaurant. Hiya, Helen. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Thanks for having us along.
You're very welcome.
Really appreciate it. One of the things we like to do as a podcast is we like to promote local businesses, and especially those that host us with the work we do, and even more those that are kind of doing and concerned around the same types of issues we are, men's health, men's mental strength, when it comes to the podcast. Just tell us a little bit about Cookfellas, how long you've been going, kind of what the business is about, and kind of where you're at now.
Fabulous. So we've been going 12 years. We started off in a tiny little place on Bow Street. Then we moved to a larger premise just up near the Priory. And so we're now in our third home. We've got a wonderful bar at the front. We've got a courtyard in the middle, just to hope for British weather being kind to us. And an eatery out the back. All serviced from the same kitchen. We do terrific food all the way through the building, and really proud of our drink selection and our handmade crafted cocktails.
You should be. I had one of my Australian cousins was over with this family recently, and, twice this year actually. We've eaten with them here twice, and they absolutely loved it. So you put on a great show. It's really, really fantastic. We were chatting earlier on, and I was telling you about the podcast, the nature of it, and you started telling me a story about the basis of what actually ended up with you getting into, setting up Cookfellas in the first place. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Yeah,
sure. So I've been in catering all my working life. So is my husband. My husband's a chef by trade. I've always been front of house. For years we worked abroad, and we had restaurants out in Spain. We came back when we had our children and ended up settling up in the northeast. We started working at Guisborough Hall. I was there for 10 years. My husband was there for 4, and then went into contract catering. It's time with contract catering. He went through redundancy 4 times, and a very pressured environment. He ended up with £6 million worth of contracts, very little support, because every time they went through the redundancy, a layer of support was taken away, and he ended up having a breakdown and had to leave his job because of it. We got him counselling. We got him on the road to recovery, but part of his recovery was that he just couldn't make decisions. He needed to be supported, and I was the person to give him that support. So I suggested that we go back to basics, and he becomes a chef again, and I become a waitress. And we run our own business, and we keep it small. And we work together, so we could be together all the time and do what we love, which is cooking and serving people and being with people. So it was all born out of necessity of just being together and looking after each other's mental health, but especially his as he recovered from his breakdown.
It sounds like the sort of things you've described there as well. It sounds like obviously a breakdown is a traumatic thing, and it's a collection of a whole load of experiences that's become overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting you mentioned about the decision thing. Could be worth more of a chat afterwards as well about some of the work I'm involved in. Would love to be able to help in another way as well. It's amazing. I know, and here we sat here because of that. And this is sometimes we talk about how amazing things can come out of really difficult times when people are well supported. Yeah. That experience can actually produce something. I know it's really powerful.
I think, obviously I didn't know that. And the big thing that stood out for me is we always talk about men's mental strength and men getting help, but I think we don't ever give enough credit to the women who support our men.
Well said.
And I think that is something that is...
That's a feminine energy.
It's really, really powerful. And
it needs to be supported. It needs to be supported with decision making. And while he's building his confidence back up, getting that back. Because you're running a big business now, you know, this is going to be a significant part of your time. So I'm assuming, and probably rightly or wrongly, but you're back in a space where he is making decisions, or you're making those things have progressed on.
He has his coping mechanisms. He has his good days and he has his bad days.
Like we all do, I suppose.
And we always support each other, and he has his coping mechanisms that we kick in if it's not a good day. But through that, you know, we've got complete empathy with all our staff, and we make sure that we look after all of our staff. And I've got a high proportion of men working for me, all between the age of 18 and 25, and we keep an eye on them and really ask them each day, you know, how are you? And listen to each other, and everyone does that, and we've got a good support network, because obviously with catering, with long hours, with pressured environments, we changed the way we work things. Our chefs are all on a 4-day working week. They still work long hours in those 4 days, but then they have 3 days, you know, to themselves. They can actually have a work-life balance, which we find really, really important.
Fantastic.
And are you okay?
I'm good.
Yeah.
So supporting people through mental health is really difficult, and having been there myself, it's something that I'm an advocate of. When you're with someone who has mental health issues, everyone, how are them, how are they, and you get forgot about. Not forgot about, but the attention always falls onto that person, and rightly so in some parts. And sometimes I think we need to park that and ask, how are you? And I think, sorry, just to finish what I was going to, like, to be a female and to be so supportive of your man, people hearing this, that is amazing. And I think my sister works in catering, and she talks to me about the mental health issues with chefs and the drinking and the late nights and the coming home and the rates of, you know, suicide or whatever, and the mental health issues it faces there. And to see someone who has lived it and is so supportive of men in our area, I think it's amazing. And I think you should be proud of yourself.
Thank you very much. My natural role in life is as a healer, and I find that gives me, you know, great joy to be able to be supportive to people, and I feel very, very lucky that I do not suffer with mental health problems and have experience helping people. And so it's important, you know, to be able to do that. And I do have a support network should I ever need it, but no, I'm one of the lucky ones.
Good on you. And so what works for Helen then? What works for you in your life that helps you? You know, what do you...
I walk.
I
walk. I get energy when I'm in the forest. So if I get called all sorts of hippie-loving, tree-hugging names.
I'll hug a tree with you.
If I feel low, I walk through a wood and I just feel the energy, and I also go to the beach a lot as well, and just enjoy the power of the waves coming in, and just seeing that as, you know, just the power of the earth coming over. So if I'm ever experiencing dip myself, then that is what I do, is just get in nature.
100%.
So you said earlier that you settled in the northeast. Are you not originally from the northeast?
I'm from Leicester.
So I'm massively, and every podcast I say this, I'm massively passionate about our area. And yes, we have our flaws. Yes, we have our, you know, deprivation and poverty and violence and everything else. But what you find for you is here.
Totally. I mean, I was
such on our doorstep.
Absolutely. I've had a varied life. I was brought up in Indonesia, and lived and worked abroad for many, many years all around Europe. And I said that I would never live in England, never. And I left Leicester when I was 25, no intention of coming back. We ended up coming back because, unfortunately, my husband lost his mum, terminal to cancer, and he needed to be with her because he'd not been with her. So we came back, and so that he could be with her for the last 6 months. And at the end of that time, the person that we used to work for in Leicester had come to open up Guisborough Hall, and so we came up this area and said hello to him, and he's like, "What are you two doing?" We're like, "Well, not a lot. We've just, you know, said goodbye to his mum." So we got a job with him because they'd made this fantastic hotel, and they didn't have anyone in this area that knew about 4 or 5-star service. So we said we'd do a year up here. And that was it. We fell in love with the area. Just the fact that you can do so much for free. You can walk out of your door and you can have a wonderful time and just enjoy everything in this area is just amazing. Even in Leicester, if I wanted to go and walk in my favourite place, which is Bradgate Park, it costs £5 to park. And, you know, it takes the shine off it. It's a beautiful park, but it takes the shine off it. And so when we came up to this area, my daughter was 3, and then since then I had another daughter, and the whole of their childhood we just spent outdoors, walking in Guisborough Woods, walking between Redcar and Saltburn, and just absolutely fell in love with the place. I wouldn't live anywhere else. And
there's a woman after my own heart.
I love that.
Yeah.
But I tell everyone, you know, it's a secret place, because we have got as much beauty as the Lake District.
We really have.
You know, but we've got no tourists. We've got no traffic jams.
Right. Just enough.
Yeah.
That's it.
You know, I go down and visit my family down south, and you're just stuck in traffic, and you're stressed before you get anywhere, and then you try and do anything and it costs a fortune, and then you come back up here, and we always, you know, drive off the A19 onto the A172, and you see Roseby topping, and you're like, I'm home. And the beautiful skies, the huge horizons. I remember sitting in my interview at Guisborough Hall and looking out of the windows in the long hall room, and just seeing the hills, Guisborough Hills, and just thinking, I can work here. I can work here.
You could do a lot worse, couldn't we?
So
I can feel the nurturing nature of what, you know, of just chatting to you in the way we've talked before, and I've gathered that, and I know, having known like some of the employees here as well, and you know that's reflected back as well. So like it's great to hear, but to be able to know that that's actually how it's really playing out within your business, within your life as well. There's probably a lot more we could talk about with travel and kind of access to nature as well. It sounds like you've got it cracked, but equally, hopefully that's how it continues for you in the future, Helen.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Hopefully, this may be a place we maybe return to in the future. Who knows? And thank you very much. See hopefully some of our listeners in Cookfellas in Guisborough in the future.
Thank you.